Good morning, Flosstube. Pam here, stitching between the lines. It's been a long time, right? I didn't even look at the date. I need to move you just half a second here. I didn't even look at the date to see how long it's been since I was here. But I know it was before September 9th, so it's been a month. That's long. But number one, I didn't stitch a whole lot in September. And number two, what I did do was travel. So I mentioned before we were going out. We were going on vacation. We went out west to started in Rapid City, South Dakota, and traveled across Wyoming into Yellowstone and the Grand Tetons, which was beautiful and lovely. All the things. I appreciate all the love I got on Instagram for the pictures. I mostly post on there so that my kids can see pictures of what we were doing, and because I'm a social media mogul here. Don't you really have Facebook and two separate Instagram accounts? Just doesn't seem like I don't know. They follow the Instagram stuff though, so they can see what their parents are doing. Anyway, it was really nice. It's very exciting to have entered the era of being able to vacation in the fall because we don't have kids that are starting school or anything like that. And so most of the places you go are not overrun with kids and families, which I don't mean to use the word overrun like it's a negative thing, because we were people who took our kids on vacation to places that were crowded with other families. But anyway, how do you dig yourself out of that one? So anyway, it was nice. We are looking at maybe what we might do next fall. We travel with a travel company, tour company, when we don't go on our own. It's not like we always do, but there's some tours that are next fall. Probably we're too late already to book for it. I wanted to book one for next summer that I was too late for months and months ago. So I don't know. You have to make these decisions quick. Upside of traveling with a group is that you go and do things and see things you didn't know you wanted to go and do and see. I mean, we knew we wanted to go west, so it's not like we just took a. We've done that. We have done that. Talking about travel, we went on a getaway weekend that we did not know where we were going. It's a website, Pack Up and Go. It's called Pack Up in N, just an N, Go, Pack Up and Go. And you fill out a survey online and you tell them how much money you're willing to spend, and they send you some information a week or so before you go. In the morning that you go to the airport, they tell you what time to go to the airport. You open the envelope and you see where you're going. We went to Washington, D.C., which we'd never been to. Surprising. You could drive there from here, but our kids always felt like we were going to torture them by taking them to Washington, D.C. on something that they thought maybe was an educational vacation. That was like an oxymoron to them. Anyway, we enjoy travel. We are doing it more and more as the kids are gone, and we can pick where we want to go without thinking about what would keep kids interested. So my plea to all the groups that are scheduling retreats in October: stop it. I have other places I have to go in October and September. Oh, anyway, how about February when nobody's doing anything? March, the longest month of the year. Could there be somewhere fun to go? Anyway, on top of my trips, okay, so we went out west, and then I wasn't even home a week, and I went on my yearly annual getaway with some friends. It's only about an hour away from here. We go to a quilt, just a few of us. There's a retreat. I don't even know what to call it. It's not retreat. It's not like you could go there with a big group. I think the place sleeps 12, and 4 of us go every year, and she just charges per person, so you don't have to pay, it's not a flat rate no matter how many come. So we did that, and then I was home. I'm home for a week. I'm home for this week, and next week I go away again with a group of friends that I've gone with for years. We meet in what is essentially the middle for all of us, which is in northwestern Pennsylvania. We've rented we've gone to a bed and breakfast for all the prior years, and this year for the first time we're renting an Airbnb. So we will be doing more food planning than we ever used to, bringing food and stuff. But anyway, we stitch for days. And then I'm home, I think another week. And then I go again. Where am I going? Isn't that awful? I'm like, wait, where am I going? This is another quilt retreat. This is an actual retreat organized by a store in a place that's, well, if as the crow flies, it's a mile from my house. Driving on the roads, it's 2 miles. And they do it twice a year. I went for the very first time in the spring, and I am going again in 2 weeks, a little less than 2 weeks. I don't know. I'm calendar challenge, sorry. But anyway, I go and I pay the price to be what's called a commuter, which means I can show up whenever I want in the morning, and then I can leave whenever I want at night, but I come home and sleep. So I like that. Anywho, those are all the things that's keeping me from stitching. I didn't do the date, which today is October, I think the 10th, Wednesday, the 10th. Oh, I am sorry. Which means I didn't set up my little Peanuts perpetual calendar either. I even have to turn the page in my real calendar. Oh, what the heck? I've lost all grasp of real. Oh, I turned 2 pages. It is Wednesday, October 10th. How many minutes did I just spend on that crap? Anyway, stitching. We're here for the stitching and not so much my blathering. I did do a wee bit of stitching, and I mean a wee. I finished the last Farmhouse Christmas. Let's get that sunbeam and ray out of there. I didn't change anything. I just did it just like the pattern called for. I wasn't sure I loved the sheep, and I saw somebody else maybe had gone and put the white sheep back in there. It was too late. They're black. They're in there. We have a lot of sheep farms around here. We have a really big one that's down the road, and all the sheep. Sometimes they get out and they're on the road. But at any rate, there's not a black sheep to be found in that herd. So anyway, not that that had anything to do with anything. Little House Needleworks, Pumpkin Hollow Farms, which was a Priscilla and Chelsea sal. And I've said before, my rule is I'll only do the sals only. Haha. I haven't been challenged yet to do one that I didn't already own. My attempt is to only do sals that I actually own the pattern, especially when, like Priscilla and Chelsea, I love all their sals, all of them. I think I've done them all but one. I can't remember which one that was, but I didn't own it. I just felt like I was buying, and I had so many things that were similar. And so I'm trying to only do them when I actually own it. So Pumpkin Hollow Farm, when I showed it to you last, I had everything above the sign done, and so then I did everything below the sign. And fortunately, I know that you cannot possibly figure out my mistake. I carefully stitched down and everything from like, I don't know, from this like end of the leaf to make sure I was starting in the right spot. And it, I really did try to do all the things, and I have one more prairie point than I do on the top, and that the pattern calls for. I don't know, and I didn't love stitching on this fabric, which I coffee and tea dyed myself, and it was just some of that MCG even weave, which I generally like to stitch on, but I think the dyeing it plumped up the fibers a lot, and so I just felt like it was not smooth sailing. It wasn't smooth stitching. And then, sorry, I have to look through my pile. Not that I've stitched a lot to show you of anything. I picked up, oops, I don't know what that was. When I finished 2 different stitching locations, right? So the Farmhouse Christmas was at one stitching chair, and that's where I also have my Christmas sampler, winter sampler. And I've shown this and shown this and shown this. Top has been done. My last completion was this whole section. I had these done. So what I have completed in the last couple days is I'm starting in the book, the bookmark, the book, and continuing that band across the bottom to the corner. And this is the least dense stitched section. The picture's here. I saw it. So I just showed you I've done, sorry, I'm battling the sun. It's a sunny day. Here, I've got the bookmark done. I'm starting, did a little of the edge stitch here so I could come down and meet the bottom. So this that I'm approaching is the most densely stitched portion. Detailed, I should say detailed, because this is of course solid stitching too, but just much simpler. And then it'll be done. It'll be done whether I work on it steadily until it's done or not. I plan to pull out Brenda Gervais monthly, right? With the needle and thread, the monthly ones. Lots and lots and lots of people do them. There's lots of words. It's downstairs somewhere. I didn't even think to bring it up. And then in my downstairs stitching chair, which is where I was stitching on Pumpkin Hollow Farms, I pulled out my Farms of Hawk Run Hollow, which I bought a year ago when I went to the Minnesota retreat. And I struggled and struggled with a start on it and finally got it going. Somebody asked me if I was stitching on a Hawk Run Hollow, and I said, well, I'm pretending to, because essentially in an entire year, this is all I've done. I thought if I did the big middle box first of all, I always start in the middle. If I did this big giant box first, then everything else would seem simpler. Took me forever to get the box stitch, but I got that done. I'm sorry. I'm going to angle you a little bit and see if we lose that sun. And then just little bits, snips and snaps. I got the grass done and a cow and another cow. And then the last time I picked it up, maybe I had done this cow the last time I picked it up. Now, honestly, I've worked on this like 3 different times and that's it. I did the fence. So I picked it up the other day and I put in the trees, some of the grass. My ultimate objective was to do this sign, which goes all the way down. And then it's solid stitched, that if I got that sign done, I would really feel like things were under control and that there was really hope. So, I don't want to just willy-nilly count up. This is 40 count to picture this plus doubloon, and 40 count is really a challenge for me. The fabric can be flubby. I need to check and see what's going on there, right there. It's too small for me to see with real eyes. I use my magnifier, and I have magnifying glasses I put on, then I can see what I'm doing. But it's a challenge, the 40 count. I really should have gone 32 count. But when it's this big, 32 count was enormous. So that's what I'm working on, which isn't a whole lot, I guess. And then I got some happy mail. Becky the Obsessed Stitcher won my giveaway that was in honor of my grandmother's birthday, and she sent me a couple vintage patterns as thank yous. She sent me Quilts for Sale, which is a Diane Phelan pattern, and she went looking to incorporate quilts because she knows I quilt. Well, I absolutely love Diane Phelan's artwork. Love it. I met her last year at a quilt show and bought some note cards. She wasn't there selling cross-stitch patterns or anything, so just love her stuff. So that was so fun that she sent me this little goodie, and then she sent this little goodie, which quilt in a day or two, which is kind of funny because I know I can't pretty much make a quilt in a day, and I probably can't stitch one of these in a day. But it was funny because one of the very first things I ever made quilt-wise years and years ago, and it took me a few years to do it. I just did them slowly. A magazine came out with cross-stitch quilt blocks, and just kind of slowly I made, stitched them up, and then I put them in a quilt. I made a quilt. It's not somewhere where I can get a picture of it. It is here, though. It's in my sewing room, and it's hanging behind a wire shelf. I can see it when I'm in there, but I'm not really sure I can get a picture of it. But I just did so they look like they're in a window. So that was cute. So these are all different, all new and all different. So anyway, my objective was to keep this really short so I could get it uploaded because I kept putting it off, and putting it off. So there, 15 minutes in, and I'm not even going to tell you about my clothes dryer that still doesn't work. So have a good one. Bye.